we're starting this big old crazy project where we're going to go through all the different incarnation crosses because I want to, and I think it's going to be fun. So we're going to start off with the right angle cross of the Sphinx. So first off, I have a little bit of symbolism on the Sphinx. So we have the Egyptian Great Sphinx of Giza, which has the body of a lion and the head of a human, which the Sphinx of Giza was seen as a guardian of wisdom, often positioned at the entrance of temples or pyramids, symbolizing the threshold between the mundane and the divine. And the role is to guard secrets, offering direction only to those who are ready and worthy. And then you have the winged Sphinx of mythology. So this is Greek and other ancient mythologies, Mesopotamian, Persian, had the winged Sphinx, often with the body of a lion and the head of a human and the wings of a bird. Most famously known in Greek mythology through the story of Oedipus, where the Sphinx poses a riddle to travelers. So this kind of theme of like riddles and challenge. And so the Great Sphinx is a gatekeeper who tests travelers with riddles and reflects the Sphinx's role in prompting self-awareness and intellectual clarity, aligning with providing direction through insight. So both the Egyptian and the winged Sphinx embody the archetype of a guide, and the Egyptian Sphinx silently points the way through its presence, while the winged Sphinx actively tests and directs through riddles. So authenticity and mystery. The Sphinx doesn't reveal all its secrets. It invites others to discover their own path.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to add on to the Sphinx, just generally speaking. It certainly does help point the way. This as a cross, this right angle, the Sphinx apparently keep pointing the way, and the way will always be a little bit of mystery because it's empowered through the vessel of love, and the love is universal of all things and ourselves in our bodies. So we can't really know what that is until we start seeing it.
Yeah.
Right? We experience it. So gotta point the way.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit of context because I was like, I don't know, the Sphinx is interesting, so why not? The right angle cross of the Sphinx, all four gates are in the identity center, and it's about direction. So starting off with the quarter one, which quarter one is the quarter of initiation, and it's a very like mental inspiration kind of quarter, and it's the 13, 7, and 1 and 2, and this occurs around February 2nd to the 4th, more or less. And these are people with an individual direction whose unique way of remembering experience brings a living, vibrant past into the future. Going into the yellow book that I referenced, the Global Incarnation Cross Index, with the Sphinx 1 operating through the 13, it's the gate of being empathic and open. It's the channel of the prodigal child. And it's about being able to store experiential information and being able to hold secrets inside and bring those secrets out. They're here to give guidance and direction to others. The 13th gate is always looking backwards and never looking forward. It's always looking at the past, reminiscing, remembering, and it's collating the experience. It's the root of memory that becomes history. So when you're meeting the Sphinx in the first version with the sun in the 13th gate, don't ask them where to go tomorrow. Ask them what happened yesterday or last month. And that's where you're going to get the value of their guidance.
Yeah, they help determine direction through the past. That's so we're going to need to put all four versions of the Sphinx together if we truly want to get the right direction, in other words. And lo and behold, each year provides us all four, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're the collector of the human experience and about the capacity to remember and ultimately the capacity to articulate out of that remembrance.
Truly, it ends up because the 13th gate ends up being a codon in our body that stores the collective human experience for us all. That's its job. Humanity's direction has everything to do with the collective experiences and the individual experiences as a collective, because we're all doing it individually. Every experience. You know, every time I hear the word experience, I want this experience or whatever, I think of Ricky Bobby when he raised his hand and said, I want to go fast. You know, in the racing movie Talladega Nights. It's so funny. I want to go fast. We want to experience. We want to experience. I don't know what is it we want to experience. All of it. 13 then is the direction, the collective direction shared as a function of the storage of all of that experience of the past. And it's a storage right up till now. So it's not like the past has to be something in antiquity. It comes right up to our front door. It's right up to now. So it's current past or long past. It doesn't matter. It's all of it.
Yeah,
Direction through the past.
Yeah, Ra also said it's you can understand the quote, the future is the past racing toward us. And this is where we get all the cliches about history repeating itself.
Stupid history is not supposed to repeat itself. We have a working gate 13 in a Sphinx, which shows up in our very first quarter of initiation. So if humanity would just get the memo, we wouldn't have to repeat it. We've got every mechanism, including a mind, that measures just fine to help finally avoid all of that. Do I sound like I'm nagging a little bit?
A little bit, but
Yeah,
maybe we
I'll
need
stop now.
some of that. With the quarter 2 Sphinx, this is the quarter of civilization. It's about material form, and the numbers are 2, 1, 13, and 7. And this occurs around like May 3rd to the 5th. And these are influential confidants who combined the aesthetics with a deep resonance to humanity's material needs, maintaining continuity with the past while mutating the collective's material direction. And so this is in the quarter of civilization when all throat gates are going to be activated. So there's this pressure to manifest and get things done. This is the gate of the driver where the magnetic monopole is located. And this is the place that gives us our illusion of separateness, our connection to geometry and our movement in space. So gate 2 is the one way we're all given direction. So all the Sphinx perspectives, right? The 13 looks backward, the 7 looks forward, the 1 is individually there in the moment. All of them are fueled and directed by the second gate. And the second gate Sphinx is the real theme of the entire direction of humanity, right? It's moving towards beauty, as Danny always says. It's always what the second gate represents. Whether it's naturally beautiful or you have to work hard to get to that beauty, it's all about being in that direction of beauty. And it's one of the most beautiful things to understand about our evolution and our direction, that we're always moving towards what is beautiful. And so Sphinxes give that direction. The second variety opens everything up for you. It's the beauty of the cross. They open up all the possibilities of direction. And the sun in the second gate is much more open to these possibilities, these many different ways of describing and seeing things in that direction towards beauty. Ra also says that talking to them can be confusing because although they know the direction, it's difficult for them to describe it. They can sort of point to something in the future, point something in the past, but all they know is the direction, go that way. But they can't really help with anything other than go that way because it's the way towards beauty. Anything else can kind of become confusing.
Yeah, it would need to refine that as it moves up and out for expression, which lets us know, as we pointed out before, that expression is the name of the game. That's what we're doing here. 90% of our action, our manifestation, is not necessarily action, it's expression. That's our whole gig. That's what's driving consciousness. All the beautiful words and all the beautiful energy saying them and having all the beautiful meaning behind it all. We're loaded with it. Ask any other animal population, I'll be like, those humans, man, they talk a lot.
They're noisy.
They're noisy, man. They just won't shut up. I'm gonna raise the alarm. It's 5 a.m. See if they like it that way. Gate 2 is so funny because it starts the throat process, which houses all the throat gates because it's starting civilization. And since 2 is the most receptive, it's all yin lines. Its whole design is to show that the root of all direction is the product of our receptivity to it, not our manifestation of it. In this gate 2, even the manifester and all of humanity is reminded we're all waiting. We're waiting as a receptive act to know that the experience of the direction in our creative way in something logical is going to happen. And I also find it funny that in the quarter where all the throat gates are, it starts out with the yinnest of all gates. We think of throat gates very much as a masculine thing. It's housed and given its total shelter through the yin aspect of gate 2. Gate 2 says I start this whole process, and even gate 33 I think ends it, right, as part of the 4 ways. And the whole throat center being in this one quarter, civilization creates the illusion of our separateness. It concretizes it. And gate 2 is the holder of that illusion so that we can live a life. They go really well together. because on either side of it, we're able in our spiritual selves to rise above this illusion of separateness, to re-recognize all aspects are part of one. We're part of a greater cycle of every last thing all the way through. We're all an aspect of God in one way, shape, or form, and every other thing you can think of. So civilization is the receptive, finished out through the act of a receptive act of remembrance. After 13, we find at the final end of civilization, we finally get the definition that is the prodigal. We got the 33. We got the 13 in the very beginning of the story. This is like a mythical place to round out. They're almost in opposition to each other, but yet they are not. You know, they're just as close as you can get without being that way. So direction towards beauty, towards the aesthetic. Love is light, like 58 basically has as a first line. Your 58 basically starts that process, love is light, and then 2 picks that up. And the only other thing to say about 2 is to recognize that it's highly dependent on the cleanness of its gate 14. Look at it like if it creates the one taproot that makes it all the way down so that the dang thing can grow into a nice fat rutabaga or a carrot or whatever it's going to be, right? A big thing of potatoes, because its taproot went all the way down. And that taproot is the 2 and the 14 to tap into the energy and ultimately receive the mutative direction of channel of mutation even below that in the format. So there's a lot of juice moving into this creative endeavor. A lot of it. It provides that movement towards beauty empowered by the vessel of love, the other incarnation cross inside of this G center, all housed in the G center. So this stuff is really a compact thing. And 2 is the expression of just wild genius, essentially. They can't say why. It's just a unique process in a pulse, and it's totally receptive. No different than rightness, like a right arrow. It doesn't know. It just drives towards and away from the lack of beauty. And if you short circuit that, humanity's not happy. And every manifestor's angry and generator's frustrated, and all the other types are the themes of their not self, all because gate 2 is getting polluted. So time to clean it up. It doesn't know what needs to be done. It is what needs to be done. So we go about the business of being in an experiment so we can take away all the dust, get rid of all the grime and gross around whatever's there of the not self, so that gate 2 can do what it's supposed to do. Receptivity as the magic capacity to drive a direction. By the way, if you have gate 2 in your sun, because that's your cross, stop trying to know. Just be. 13, you can try to know a little bit because you got to share something. But gate 2, no, you just have to be. Same thing will happen when we get to gate 1.
The Sphinx quarter 3. This is the quarter of duality, and it's very about like relational bonding. And it goes 7, 13, 2, and 1. This occurs around August 5th through the 7th. And these are people of influence equipped to lead, whose sound logic and attention to the past play a key role in directing humanity towards a secure future. Ra also says, with the gate 7 in the personality sun, they have a role in leadership, logical leadership, and they're looking for a way to be influential. The 7 is a logical process looking forward and trying to project into the future. And it's the most proactive cross of the Sphinx. Those who really want to be directors and give you a direction. With the personality sun in gate 7, they inherently want to lead because that is the role, and they're actively wanting to be an authoritative leader where they do have that authority, and it really wants the opportunity to give you direction. And this is a person who really needs to play out their role depending on the nuance of their cross.
There's a reason direction as a function of the past came first. Because if you look at it this way, and what you just read, and basically that which is true, is that it empowers this. Because at the moment the life force inside of humanity's evolution is fully created, which is the prodigal, I remember, the act of that remembrance of the collective experience of our past up till the present is sitting there right before. That happens at the moment before gate 7 comes along in the wheel. Gate 7's given a huge assist by 33 turning into a definition. And then boom. So basically, through the act of remembrance, we move into the army. And the army marshals the forces. By marshaling it, it interacts and shares with and spins up a relationship that creates the forces that create leadership, which ends up being called an alpha. But it's still an alpha that had to go through this process. It's not able to just take it. It goes through a sharing process that develops and spits out the alpha. And very often that alpha is the person with this channel, because obviously they would have that whole life force inside of them to go and make a contribution and be influenced. I influence, I lead type thing is what, Gate 31 says above Gate 7. And you had said this is like the most prolific, and it is, because this now has been the the quarter of duality, right? As this Gate 7 enters this duality, this place where we get together and where the children are really made, because civilization built the house, and then it's time to nest the house. And this is very important business. It is the most prolific because the alpha must truly lead, leading into, look at civilization as a random act that, because it worked out, because Gate 2 was the receptive, the root of all direction, it was the best gate to have at the beginning of civilization, because whatever civilization needed to be, it was going to be to serve duality. Each quarter serves the quarter in front of it. That's common and easy to see. So Gate 7 says, I lead, and I'm going to lead, and I'm going to be influential, and we're going to be, and this is going to mature into a thing, because we just got the maturing process of what was the prodigal jolted into the beginning of this quarter as a life force suddenly coming into play, because here we are in the wheel. And so I just find that an amazing thing. It's like we got all of Gate 2's gifts now as an empowerment for Gate 7's. Let's lead this thing properly. Gate 7 to me is the bringing of the good mother and the good father that keep order in the general society and in their respective communities, such that general society works well and the kids grow up. That's Gate 7 to me. That's its biggest impact. We got a society because we built civilization. Okay, who's going to drive it? What are we going to do here? Let's let it be driven by the guy who's looking forward out the windshield instead of the cat who's driving from the rear view, or the other cat who's just driving from whatever, Gate 1, Oh, look over there. That's Gate 1. I don't know if I got too esoteric with that explanation, but
I don't know, it's your nature.
I just wanted to spit all of that out.
Well, you did, and now we have it recorded.
Good deal.
But the main thing is that these people with the Gate 7 in the personality sun are here to lead. They're looking out the front window, and the people who want the esoterics get the esoterics. The people who want it simple, take it simple.
Take it simple. Thank you, Moni. That was easy. I feel so much better. I got nothing to prove.
There you go. Finally, we have the Sphinx in the fourth quarter, the quarter of mutation, and it's very transformational. And so this goes 1, 2, 7, and 13. And these people are born around November 5th through the 7th, more or less. And these are creative individuals trying to build a legacy to express and immortalize their own direction, providing and maintaining a mutative direction through example. With the personality sun in Gate 1, the Gate 1 is the creative. So if we look back on the Sphinx, the second gate is the direction the vehicle is going. The 7th gate is looking out the front window, wondering, where am I going? The 13th gate is looking through the rear view mirror, trying to figure out how far she traveled and where did she come from. And the first gate is in a brown study where the eyes are unfocused and you see nothing. He's contemplating his navel as the car moves along, and he is right here in the now. And there's nothing more totally selfish than the first gate. Let me get my thing out. I want to express my direction. This is not the collective Sphinx that's saying, come here and let me tell you where to go, like Gate 7. And it's not the abstract Sphinx, which is come over here and let me tell you where you've been, which is Gate 13. This is the individual Sphinx saying, get out of my face. I don't care where you're going. I know where I'm going. The individual is absorbed in her own direction and not concerned about the other. So the nature of the first gate is very unique. They're very deep into their own process. No matter what pain it costs them, don't get in the way. Right? This is a very different kind of Sphinx. And if you're in a plane crash in the jungle with one of these Sphinxes and you see them take off, follow them. She's not going to help you. She's not going to wait for you, nor is she going to slow down because of you. But if you can keep up, you'll survive. It's a different kind of direction, a direction by example, which doesn't call attention to itself naturally. It doesn't say, hey, look at me and what I'm doing. It's just going in their own direction.
It's a burning driving force because gate 1 is the creative, and it's the opposition to gate 2, all yin. So gate 1 is all yang, 6 yang lines. It's the only hexagram that is all yang, and its creative force must drive a direction the same way the sun must drive its yang force into the earth to create the form. It's the same thing. The creative is an example, and that's its primary contribution. When gate 8 comes along of the throat and provides access for gate 1 to make its manifested contribution through whatever it might explain, say, articulate, and do, and give, and be, all of these things, it's always a mutative act of something unique. And that's why it's in the quarter of mutation. It names the quarter of mutation. That is this transitional force moving us through the end of the life cycle, through the death process, back to the revival and rebirth, back into gate 13. That's just the sort of cosmic movement of all of that. However, the practical is if you have a gate 1 and you're a right angle Sphinx, you're incredibly self-absorbed, because gate 1 is the thing that is a lot of gates of deafness and things that won't be hearing the other in the now very often, and gate 1 is one of them. It is so interested in being unique and different. Its melancholy is too much sameness, where it's just like everyone else and it can't seem to express its unique contribution. That's its melancholy if it can't do it. And so to combat any kind of sadness like that, what it does is it bees itself, which is always stunningly different from everyone else because we're all unique. I mean, we're just all unique. So gate 1 as a direction gives us the creative. And I'd like you to notice the other 2 versions of the Sphinx, the past and the future, clearly live to serve. In the Penta, it does it too. Same thing in the Wa, it does it all the way through, lives to serve the 2 and the 1. That's what they do. We need to know where we're going so we can keep 1 safe so it can mutate. We need to know from where we came so we can keep 1 safe so it can mutate us. So everything is serving to become what is the great contribution. So if you're a gate 1 in your sun as a Sphinx in a right angle, you have an amazing contribution to make. And do witness how sometimes you appear to be sort of a jerk to the other because of your capacity to sort of ignore them or not take part in or be obstinate towards, or just, I'll go back to ignore, the other. Just recognize, open up sometimes, because it is part of your way. The collective past and future are here with us. We do all need to go in the same direction ultimately. And 1 is the creative, mutative of what that direction will end up being truly. It gives the answer for the purpose of the direction. Just like the individuality of 28 and 38 give the purpose of us in the first place. It's all purpose stuff. And it makes its contribution by doing so. Yeah, be yourself, man. It's great. Just trying to be a total dick. Basically, I had to say it. I had to. I don't edit that if you can help it. It's just.
In conclusion, the right angle Sphinx, which is all identity center gates and it's about direction. The right angle Sphinxes, these are natural beacons radiating direction and clarity by embodying their unique identity, guiding others not through force but by example, aligning with their inner truth to illuminate paths forward. Their purpose is inspiring and leading others towards their own alignment, helping navigate life's uncertainties with vision and authenticity. Sphinxes transform collective perspectives by sharing insights drawn from the past and possibilities for the future. Sphinxes are here to be true to themselves, acting as a lighthouse for others, whether through creative expression in Gate 1, intuitive vision in Gate 2, authoritative leadership in Gate 7, or empathic listening in Gate 13. They help others move from old patterns to new possibilities, aligning with their own unique paths.
Right angle cross of the Sphinx starts out our greater planetary movement, our greater global cycles. I only bring that up because it provides the full of direction that we're going to end up going in. And when you come back down onto the surface, be aware that until you get into your strategy and authority and your experiment, you understand your type and what definition you do or don't have. If you bear this cross, it'll feel almost lonely for you at times because you often feel like you're the only one that can't tell if you're in a direction. And the only really exception to that would be Gate 1 more so because it can't tell where it is half the time regardless, but it learns to deal with that as a creative process. But regardless, very often you don't know the direction. Just be aware. Part of how you see where your direction goes is witnessing in the direction of others, because half of the Sphinx is a shared business. It doesn't matter that the sharing serves the uniqueness. I get that, but it doesn't matter. Half of us is sharing. It's wicked important you recognize that. So be part of it all. Don't worry about the direction that you don't necessarily see for yourself. Recognize that your strategy and authority will tell you through your satisfaction and your peace, victory, and your surprise and the joy of all of that. It will show you the direction that you also helped instill in others. Witness it deeply and add it into your experiment, because it's something you have to witness a bunch of times, like learning the subtle differences between closely related plants. It might take a couple seasons, right? Before you get good at not pulling out real plants because you thought it was a weed or vice versa. It's a great analogy for it. So it sophisticates itself into your awareness, but you got to let it.
Beautiful.
That was my cherry on top.
That was a really good cherry on top. I picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. So yeah, that was our first installment of our attempt to make it through all the incarnation crosses. So great job, Danny.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. By the time I get to the fourth, I'm struggling to grapple these things and like cement it in place so we can move on. Because I always feel like we can't move on. I always want to stay in the same place and actually it to death. My Gate 9.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could
then
see.
There's more, and then there's more, and then
Yeah, and I could see that like your right-mindedness trying to be strategic.
Yes.
And I'm just like, stop trying so hard. Just let it come out.
Well, it's a process. I don't know if well, we'll see. We got 190 some odd of these things to do or something. So good luck.
Yeah, but I have it kind of figured out. If we just spread things out, we'll get through them. Because I'm like, I don't know. I want to study this with Danny.
No doubt. No doubt.
And thanks for hanging out, and catch you next week.
See you next week, everyone. Love you.